On March 22, 1997, around 1:45 a.m., on Dominic Street in Port Coquitlam, there was a girl who appeared to be drunk. She was holding her abdomen with her right hand, holding something in her left hand, and her body was shaking. Due to it was late night, traffic on the street was light, no one noticed the girl. Until a couple drove onto the dimly lit street. The girl ran into the road, stopping the couple's car. When the car lights shone on the girl, they saw this girl. Her chest and abdomen were covered in blood. She was holding a blood-stained knife and had a handcuffed wrist. So they called emergency services. An ambulance soon arrived and took the girl to a nearby hospital. Minutes later, a man rushed into the same hospital by car. He told the medical staff anxiously he had been slashed in the chest and neck with a knife. When asked who was the attacker, he said he had picked up some hitchhikers on the street. They attacked him after getting in the car. After the man was sent to the operating room, a nurse found a handcuff key in his belongings. It turned out an injured girl in the hospital had a handcuff on her left hand. So the nurse tried to see if the key could unlock the handcuff on the girl. However, it worked. Upon waking, the girl was questioned by the police about her situation and her relationship with the man who had the handcuff key. The girl's name was Wendy. She was a sex worker and a drug user. The man was her client and her attacker. His name was Robert. Before the case, Wendy was soliciting on the corner of Cordova Street and Princess Avenue in East Vancouver. Robert, who chose her as a client, took her to his trailer in a pig farm on Dominic Street. After they had sex, when Wendy was looking through a phone book to arrange a ride, Robert approached her from behind and handcuffed her left hand. Then a violent fight ensued. Wendy was stabbed 4 times but managed to grab Robert's knife and slash his chest and neck. Learning of the development, police arrested Robert and charged him with attempted murder, assault with weapon, and forcible confinement. However, the charges were set aside in 1998 because Wendy was heavily medicated with psychotropic drugs during trial preparation. She was considered an extremely unreliable witness. In 1999, 2 murder-related leads emerged concerning Robert's pig farm. One came from an informant. He told the police that a single mother had witnessed a woman's remains hanging from a hook at the pig farm. Then, police investigated by questioning the mother, but she denied the claim. Another lead came from Bill. He was Robert's employee. Bill said Robert's friend claimed to have seen women's clothes, wallets, and ID cards at the pig farm. He thinks these items belonged to local missing women. But since Bill wasn't a direct witness, the police couldn't get a search warrant based solely on his suspicion. They needed concrete evidence of criminal activity or physical proof to take action against Robert. In 2001, the Vancouver Police Department and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police formed a joint task force to investigate crime in Vancouver. A year later, a truck driver who had worked for Robert contacted the task force, claiming he had seen illegal firearms in Robert's trailer. This tip met the requirements for a search warrant. On February 5th of the year, the task force raided Robert's pig farm. They found several illegal and unregistered firearms, as well as items belonging to several missing women. Initially, Robert was arrested for illegal weapon possession as the search warrant focused on firearms. Though he bailed out, the police kept surveillance on him, preventing his return to the pig farm. Days later, the police obtained a second search warrant and conducted a thorough search. During the first search, they found handcuffs, women's clothes, shoes, jewelry, an asthma inhaler linked to a missing woman. His trailer also had bloodstains from another missing woman. On February 22, 2002, Robert was arrested again and charged with 2 counts of murder. By the 3rd year of the search, he was charged with 26 counts of murder. In reality, the pig farm on Dominic Street in Port Coquitlam was the largest crime scene in Canadian history. During the investigation, the police also uncovered Robert's modus operandi. From his confession, it was concluded that some of the women, who were once listed as missing, were handcuffed and stabbed by Robert. Others were killed by being injected with antifreeze. Robert claimed the best way to cure drug addiction was to inject antifreeze into the body. The even more horrifying is that after the victims died, Robert would take the remains to a meat processing plant and chop them up. Sometimes, his pigs would feast on them. Other times, some customers would buy the processed pork without knowing what they were eating. Maybe they don't want to know either. After Robert was arrested, the single mother finally confessed. She had indeed seen a woman's remains hanging from a hook a few years before. She said she kept it a secret out of fear for her life. But another reason was that she needed to rely on Robert for drugs. To fully understand Robert, one must delve into his early life. Born in 1949 to a family of pig farmers, Robert has one brother and one sister. Because of living on a pig farm, one must need to put up with disgusting odors. So his sister was sent to live with relatives in downtown Vancouver. However, to their parents, pigs were worth far more than Robert and his brother. So they were ordered by their parents to work on a pig farm from an early age. At first, Robert was so used to living with pigs that it didn't affect him in any way. But by the time he was old enough to go to school, everything had changed. When his mother sent him to school, they were filthy and stank of feces. The children's disgust won't be hidden, and Robert was teased by his classmates for being a smelly pig. As a result, Robert struggled greatly at school, where he would be teased and bullied by his classmates, as well as suffer from people watching silently. At age 12, Robert raised a calf, his best friend besides his mother and brother. His father often abused and insulted him, so Robert had little closeness with him. Later, when Robert came home from school to feed the calf in the barn, he found it had been sent to a slaughterhouse, which deeply hurt him. In his audio diary, he said, "We lived a good life, but it was a hard existence." Unable to bear his school experiences and with poor grades, he dropped out to become a meat cutter, a job he held for 7 years. In 1967, a serious change of heart occurred in the family and revealed some of the family's worst-kept secrets. On October 16th, Robert's younger brother, shortly after getting his driver's license, was driving his father's truck when he hit a boy walking along the road. After the incident, the panicked brother fled the scene, found his mother, told her what had happened. However, when they returned to the scene and found the boy alive, instead of calling the police or an ambulance, they pushed him into a ditch on the side of the road, let him drown. Around 1978, after their parents passed away, Robert and his siblings inherited the pig farm. They sold part of the land due to community redesign, making several $1 million and eliminating financial worries. As Robert's finances improved, he and his brother established the Piggy Palace Good Times Society. Ostensibly, it aimed to organize events for service clubs, sports groups. In reality, it hosted revelries at the pig farm, attracting thousands, mostly passers-by, sex workers, and drug users. Since the 1980s, Vancouver had seen many missing women, mostly sex workers and drug users. These women often had unstable social ties and interacted only with those of similar professions or lifestyles, rarely connecting with mainstream society. So, their disappearances often went unnoticed. The police even set up a special unit to look into unsolved murders and missing persons cases, but it was disbanded due to limited progress and high costs. As disappearances increased, rumors of a serial killer spread. Sex workers and drug users started walking in groups and noting down license plates of cars picking up women, but the disappearances continued. In the 1990s, some families of missing women demanded a full investigation. The police, however, denied the presence of a serial killer and refused to consider that the missing might be dead. They attributed the disappearances to the women either leaving Vancouver or dying from drug overdoses. In reality, many of these women vanished at Robert's pig farm. Robert was charged with 27 murders, including one of an unidentified woman, but the latter was dismissed due to lack of key info. This wasn't close to his actual victim count. In prison, an undercover cop posed as an inmate. Robert told him he had killed 49 people, but he was disappointed because he did not kill 50 people, an even number. On January 30th, 2006, the preliminary hearing began. Robert pleaded not guilty to all charges. The court had to debate admissible evidence and whether there was enough for trial. This lasted months, with the media barred from disclosing any info provided. On January 22, 2007, Robert was charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder. December 9th saw the jury acquitting him of first degree but convicting him of 6 counts of second-degree murder. The difference between the two lies in premeditation and violence level. Robert was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Other charges were stayed as further convictions wouldn't increase his sentence. On May 19, 2024, Robert was assaulted in prison by Martin, an inmate with a history of attacking others using a broken broomstick. Robert was rushed to hospital, but died on May 31st.